Welcome back. Now in fractions we always have to isolate our variable. And the way we isolate our variable is by taking away anything that stands with it on that side of the equal sign. So you always have to do the inverse. Inverse means the opposite. Now we know the opposite of plus is minus and the opposite of minus is plus. So what we also have here now is a times. We have 2 times x. We know that that's a silent little dot between them, or a silent times sign. So the opposite of times is divide, the inverse. Okay, so we always do the inverse in algebra to isolate our variable. So what we have here is 2 times x. So now we're going to have to divide it by 2. So 2 divided by 2 would look like that. Okay, just to remind you. Right, so we're going to actually do that on the next line. We're going to have to divide x by 2. And because we did it to the one side, we have to do it to the other side of the equal sign. So what will we be left with then? We'll be left with x, because 2 divides into itself once, and that just leaves us the 1. And 2 will go into 8 4 times. So that's why we end up with x equals 4. Okay? Now, let's just check. If we had to substitute it back into the original, it would be 2 times 4, because x is equal to 4. 2 times 4 equals 8, and 8 equals 8. Beautifully worked out. Okay, now, we have a divide here. X is divided by 3. The opposite of divide is times. So we're going to go ahead and times to isolate it. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to times by the inverse. It will be times by 3 over 1. Okay, it's divided by 3, now it's going to be times by 3. So we did it on this side, now we have to do it on the other side. 5 times 3 as well. So we multiplied x over 3 by 3, which is 3 over 1. And we have to do the same on the other side of the equal sign, 5 times 3. Let's simplify and see what we're left with. Well, these two will cancel out and leave us with x over 1, which is x. And 5 times 3 is 15. So we also know that if we had to substitute 15 back in over here, we would end up with 15 over 3 is equal to 5. And that's right, because 3 divided into 15 is 5. Okay, correct. We've got the right answer there. Okay, here we have, again, we're going to have to isolate x by multiplying by the inverse. Okay, so we need to multiply by 3 over 2. Why? Because we want to cancel them out like this. So we can got 1x. We want to isolate the x, okay? So we did multiply by 3 over 2 there. And because we did it here, we have to do it on the other side of the equal sign as well. So now once you've simplified both sides, we'll end up with just an x here, because I showed you just now how they cancel out there. And on the other side, we'll end up with 8 over 1 times 3 over 2. Which leaves us with x is equal to, well, let's first simplify up here. What do we have? 2 can go into itself once and into 8 4 times. 4 times 3 is equal to 12 over 1. So x is equal to 12. Okay. Next one, last one of this clip. Right, so what we have here is we have something with our variable, but before we can isolate, we first have to simplify by removing something that's not attached to our variable and putting it on the other side. So we're going to first rewrite it as it is there, and then we're going to do the opposite of plus 3. We are going to minus 3, and we did it to this side, so what do we have to do? We have to do it to the other side. Now let's simplify a step further. So these two have cancelled out now, and we are left with 3 over 4x is equal to whatever 6 minus 3 is, which comes to 3. Okay, right? Now, you can see we're still stuck with something on our variable. We have to isolate it by doing the inverse. So we're going to multiply by the inverse. Okay, so now we have times 4 over 3, because it's the inverse of 3 over 4. But because we did it on this side, we have to repeat it on the other side of the equal sign. Okay, so let us continue with this now. So these are all going to cancel out. We're left with x equals, and we can put that over a 1 because it's a whole number. And 3 can cancel out by putting itself, 3 can go into itself once and into 1. So 1 times 4 over 1 is 4. That's our answer. Okay, right. You got a better idea. Now you really, really need to know your rules from junior school all the way through to be able to do your algebra properly. All these rules apply. I would encourage you to press subscribe to my channel. I've revised all the rules of junior school from grade 1 up to senior school level. And if you feel rusty on anything, you can go revise them by looking in the playlists. I've categorized everything into categories to make life simple with very short clips to remind you of your rules. Maths is a rule game. It works on rules. If you don't apply them, you don't get the right answers. I'll see you in the next lecture.